I'm just one of them.
Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about vegetarianism, and most of you are probably thinking, oh no, she's going to stand up here and tell us how wrong eating meat is, and how horrible people treat animals, and how meat is murder. But no, I'm not here to do that. I'd like to just get you to be more open-minded about what you're eating and where it's coming from, because not all animals are treated well in factory farms, and in fact, most people are not treated well in factory farms. And it's not just factory farming, it's the environment. According to a study on affixpromotion.com, the average vegetarian saves about 100 animal lives a year. That's a big deal. So if you have 2 vegetarians, that's 200 animals. And it just grows. And that's not including how much each vegetarian helps the environment and each vegan. In an article by Kathy Freston called "Vegetarian is the New Prius," according to a study by the University of Chicago, producing 1 calorie of meat protein burns 10 times as much fossil fuels and releases about 10 times as much carbon dioxide as producing a calorie of plant protein. So first I'm going to talk to you about why meat production has become a problem. And then I'm going to talk to you about how it became a problem. And then I'm going to give you a few little tips without becoming a vegetarian on how you can help. Okay, so first, why is it a problem? Why is meat eating a problem? It's not immoral, it's not wrong. People have been doing it for years, since before recorded time. So why is this a problem? Well, like I said, on factory farms, there's a lot of stuff that people don't know about. There are so many problems on factory farms. Most people who work at factory farms are people such as lower to middle class people who otherwise wouldn't be able to get a job. So their working environment is not always clean. It's definitely not safe. And not only that, when people get hurt working in these factory farms, and all of this information is in Fast Food Nation, and that's a book, and that's a very interesting book, and I encourage you to read it. If these people get hurt while they're working, they are encouraged and almost threatened by their bosses to not report it so that they don't get shut down. And not only that, factory farms release about as much negative emissions as SUVs, if not more, and that's terrible. So if you want to point the finger at the cause of global warming, think about factory farming. Another thing with factory farming is the animals. They get treated horribly. If you were walking down the street and you saw an animal hurt, or you saw a group of stupid kids hurting an animal, would you just walk by and not think about it? Probably not, right? So, and the problem is most people don't know about what goes on with these animals at factory farming. They get treated very poorly. Next, I'm going to be talking to you about how this became a problem. If this has been going on for so long, then why hasn't anyone done anything about it? Well, most factory farms, if not all of them, do not have any kind of regulations as to the treatment of their workers or their treatment of their animals. They have no laws that they have to go by. They get no legal punishment for what they do wrong. So, like I said, if they have a worker that gets hurt, most of the time that does not get reported. How can anything get done if they're getting threatened? And of course they're not going to say anything because they're afraid to lose their jobs, because like I said, most people who work here are people who can't find a job any other way. Also, there are no regulations as far as the way that they treat their animals. So the people who work on factory farms can pretty much do whatever they want to these animals. They can kick them, they can whatever, and they will not get in trouble, and they know that, and that's why they continue to do it. There's also no regulations on medical treatment. So if these animals get hurt or sick, they just have to suffer until they're slaughtered and served. The factory farms are not required to ever seek medical attention for the animals. Now, these animals they live in filthy conditions, absolutely filthy conditions. And the biggest question that I've ever had to answer is, why are you vegan? we can all understand why you're vegetarian because you don't want to eat animals, but why are you vegan? And that's a very difficult question to answer, but I'll answer it for you right now. Hens who lay eggs, egg-laying hens, are put into cages about this big for their entire lives. They don't have room to stretch. They don't have room to do anything. And most of the time their beaks are cut off so that they don't get bored and frustrated and start pecking at each other. So a lot of them end up hurt just because of their living conditions, and they're required to lay so many eggs throughout their lifetime, which causes them harm. And it's the same thing with cows. Cows can't produce milk unless they get pregnant. So if they're having to have a kid every 9 months like we are, that causes them to have calcium deficiency. Also, the cows are taking away from them. Now, a few things that you can do. There are different kinds of vegetarianism, so don't think that you have to go home and stop drinking milk or eating cheese or eating chicken or whatever. There are different things that you can do. First, there are different kinds of vegetarians. There are lacto-ovo vegetarians, which do drink milk and eat eggs. That alone saves 100 animals' lives a year, and that does make a statement to factory farms. There are also lacto and ovo vegetarians, which one doesn't drink milk and one doesn't eat eggs. There are also the kinds who only eat chicken or only eat eggs, and these help. But if you can't do the vegetarian thing, and some people can't for medical reasons, if you can't do that, that's fine. But be aware of where your meat is coming from. You can buy from freelance farms, which the conditions for the animals are normally much better there. Freelance farms, the farmers are there because they want to be, not because they feel as if they can't get a job. Also, be aware of different kinds of factory farming. Places like Tyson and fast food, Tyson the chicken, and fast food places like McDonald's and KFC are seriously the worst places you could eat meat from. So, in conclusion, I've gone over with you why this is a problem, how it became a problem, and given you a few tips. Now, Leonardo da Vinci, who is a personal hero of mine, once said, "If man wants freedom, why keep birds and animals in cages? Truly man is king of beasts, for his brutality exceeds them." This is true. How can we consider ourselves better than any other animal if we treat people lower than us or animals lower than us? How we wouldn't treat one another. So I hope that you all will reconsider your eating habits, or at least be mindful of where your food is coming from.